Sometime, 98, early call. I'm in the makeup chair, looking at the craft service table. A barren landscape, sad, pale sugar cookies, lukewarm coffee that smelled like regret. The Burbank Lot Annex building. Always the annex, never the main stage.
Oh, the annex, yes. Always smelled faintly of stale popcorn and a kind of institutional desperation. I remember, not long after that, auditioning for some procedural where I was, naturally, the nervous bank teller. They had these laminated signs on the craft table, 1 snack per actor. As if we were going to hoard the lukewarm mini quiches, it wore you down. That steady drip of low-grade disrespect.
Disrespect. Precisely. It was never about the quiche, was it? It was the unspoken message. You're lucky to be here, so shut up and take the stale sugar cookie. For those of us grinding, trying to elevate those 3 lines, to give that one scene some actual weight, it felt like swinging a heavy bat in a sandlot game where nobody was keeping score. You just kept swinging. Sometimes, you just needed a decent tuna melt to believe the game was still worth playing.
A tuna melt. I remember a director on some sitcom pilot asked me, straight-faced, if I could be more defeated. Not act it, be it. As if I didn't already feel it, queuing up, smelling the generic cleaner, knowing I was probably against 6 other guys in slightly frayed tweed jackets. You just wrote it out. Sometimes, I'd take my unicycle to the lot, just for a modicum of control, a sense of balance, in all that mediocrity.
A unicycle. Right, that's a choice. I suppose we all had our coping mechanisms for navigating the low-stakes indignities. Mine was usually to find a quiet corner and review the script for the 3rd time, just to prove to myself that I was taking it seriously, even if the lukewarm coffee and the 1 snack rule suggested otherwise. Trying to find the rhythm, the right cadence, even if it was just to explain why the bank was short $3. The kind of stuff that cemented a certain perception, ironically.
Perception is a powerful thing, especially when it's cemented by lukewarm coffee and the smell of institutional desperation.
But look, William, I brought you here to talk about the project. The one that got away. You ever wake up, Bill, after 3 decades in the big show, and realize you've been pitching the same fastball from the same mound, just to a different catcher, in a different uniform? It gets old. Even if it's a good fastball. Even if it always hits the corner.
The OL, typecast blues, JK? Thought you liked being the guy in charge. You certainly project it.
Like it? I'm good at it. Good at yelling. Good at making demands. Good at looking like I could dismantle a man's career with a single arched eyebrow. And the paychecks are certainly authoritative. But you know, Bill, sometimes a man wants to whisper. Sometimes a man wants to sing. And sometimes, a man just wants to be Eugene.
Eugene?
Precisely, Eugene. And the picture, my friend, the picture is called The Unsung Baritone.
Interesting.
We open, Bill, on a slow, deliberate push-in. Not on a face, not on a dramatic landscape, no. We open on a single, perfectly manicured but age-spotted hand. A Panavision lens, maybe something vintage, catching the dust motes dancing in the morning sun as this hand, gnarled but gentle, slowly, meticulously, traces the staff lines of a faded, antique sheet music score, The Marriage of Figaro. Aria for a lyric baritone.
Getting specific. I like it.
Oh, we get specific. The shot lingers, revealing the faint tremor in the fingers, the way the light catches the silver hairs on the knuckles. It's a quiet hand, Bill. A hand that never clenched a fist in anger, never pointed a condemning finger. A hand that once dreamed of gripping a conductor's baton, but spent its prime grading papers and adjusting choir robes. This hand belongs to our Eugene.
And Eugene,
Eugene is me. Eugene is a retired high school choir teacher, lives alone in a modest little house in a town so small, the biggest excitement is when the new post office stamps arrive. He's meticulous, observant, invisible. His biggest joy, his quiet rebellion, is in his meticulously organized garage where he polishes his old LPs, or in his living room where he sings along to them, a clear, resonant baritone, a voice that could fill an opera house, but has only ever filled his own 4 walls.
a baritone. Right. I see where this is going. Or rather, not going, given your usual output.
Exactly. No shouting, no demands, no threats of cutting anyone from the team unless they perform. Eugene's power isn't in his authority, Bill, it's in his vulnerability, his quiet, almost desperate longing for something he let slip away. He's a man who understands the nuances of a vibrato better than he understands social interaction. He talks to his gardenias more than he talks to people.
So what pulls him out of his gardenia talks?
Life, Bill. Cruel, beautiful life. The old high school, the one he taught at for 30 years, it's on the ropes. The music program, his program, about to be axed. Budget cuts. Some new principal, young, ambitious, fresh out of business school, decides to save face by entering the school's abysmal choir into the prestigious state choral competition. It's a Hail Mary, a desperation heave from midfield with 10 seconds on the clock. And the current, overwhelmed music teacher, a sweet kid, just folds. Quits.
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right. Chaos. The principal, a woman who thinks pitch refers to a sales presentation, is panicking, can't find anyone. That's when Eugene, in his quiet, unassuming way, just appears. Not barging in, not demanding. He just offers to consult, help out, like a quiet groundskeeper, offering to trim a rosebush that's gone wild. He just can't stand to see the music die.
And he steps in. He becomes the demanding coach, the drill sergeant of harmonies.
Nope. Wrong assumption, Bill. Classic typecasting trap. That's the movie they want to make with me. That's the movie I can't make. Eugene doesn't demand. He inspires. He doesn't bark orders. He offers understanding. He teaches them the difference between notes on a page and the ache in a human heart. He doesn't tell them to sing louder. He teaches them why they should sing louder. Or softer. Or with more sorrow. He's less a general, more a gentle guide, patiently untangling vocal knots, one at a time. He sits at the old upright piano, a forgotten maestro, a silent presence. The kids, at first, they don't get him. They expect the fire breather. They get a librarian who hums.
The librarian who hums. That's good.
It is good. And he slowly, subtly, starts to unlock their voices. Not just their singing voices, but their true voices. He teaches them to trust each other, to blend, to listen. He teaches them the beauty of a perfectly struck chord, the vulnerability of a sustained note. And through it all, he is still the quiet observer, the one who cleans up the sheet music after rehearsal, the one who makes sure the piano cover is down, the one who still secretly sings Figaro to his gardenias at night.
So the competition. Does he finally take the stage, wave his arms like a madman, conduct them to glory?
Almost. That's the other movie, the safe one. No. At the competition, the stakes are impossibly high. The school board is there, pencils out, ready to cut the program. The choir, through Eugene's quiet guidance, has finally found its rhythm, its heart. They're about to perform their final piece, a challenging, beautiful aria, meant for a specific lead soloist. And wouldn't you know it? The soloist gets a sudden case of laryngitis, or maybe a spectacular case of stage fright. Whatever it is, the kid can't sing. The whole performance, the whole program, is about to collapse.
Oh, no.
Oh yes. Panic on stage. Whispers in the audience. The principal is beet red. And then our Eugene. He doesn't command, he doesn't even volunteer, not really. One of the kids, the one he mentored most, the one who saw past the quiet facade, whispers his name. Mr. Thompson, you can do it! And slowly, almost reluctantly, Eugene walks to the front. Not to conduct, not to tell them what to do, but to sing.
He sings the solo?
He sings the solo, Bill. A lifetime of unspoken dreams, of forgotten talent, of stifled passion pours out of him. It's not about power. It's not about winning. It's about a man, an ordinary man, stepping into the light, finally letting his true voice be heard, not with the booming authority I usually embody, but with a raw, honest, vulnerable beauty that just devastates. A lyric baritone, clear as a bell, full of a lifetime of quiet observation and deep feeling. He doesn't shout his conviction, he sings his soul. He's not the boss, he's the artist, he's the vulnerable heart. The camera is tight on his face, tears in his eyes, a slight tremor in his chin, but the voice is pure, uninterrupted, unapologetic.
That's a hell of a moment.
It's the moment. It's the pitch that always gets fouled off by the studios, because J.K. Simmons doesn't sing opera. Or J.K. Simmons isn't vulnerable. Well, I am, Bill, and Eugene is. The film ends not with a victory celebration, necessarily, but with Eugene, back in his garden, perhaps humming the aria, a faint smile on his face. He's not suddenly famous. He's not suddenly rich. But he's whole. He found his voice. And it wasn't through telling others what to do. It was through simply being.
That is a lot. But hear mine. Ideally, we shoot this on 70 millimeters. Or hell, maybe 16 millimeters. Something grainy, intimate. Not slick. Never slick. It's a difficult thing to explain. Because it operates on a different frequency. A sub-aural hum, you might say.
Right. Not slick, I hear that. What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Something like that. It's called the curator of consequence.
The curator of consequence. Interesting. Abstract.
Abstract, yes, but intensely specific. We open, JK, on not a grand vista, no sweeping drone shots of mountains or cityscapes. We open on a single loose thread, dangling from the cuff of a perfectly ordinary, slightly frayed tweed jacket. An extreme close-up, so tight you can see the weave, the individual fibers. Macro lens. The light, low and diffuse, catches each strand, makes it shimmer. We hold on this. For a long time. Longer than a studio would ever allow. And then, slowly, imperceptibly, the thread begins to fray further. A tiny, almost imperceptible tremor. The fabric tightening, then releasing. It's not a dramatic unraveling, you understand. No sudden tear. More like a whispered suggestion of entropy. A promise. A premonition, really. Of what's to come, of what's always coming.
A thread. Right. Like a metaphorical thread? Of fate?
Precisely. My character, the one I wrote for myself, his name is Arthur Penhaligon. And Arthur looks like any other man you'd pass on the street. He's got this anxious, slightly rumpled quality. The permanent, faint scent of stale coffee and unread newspapers. The sort of fellow who buys his shoes a half size too big, just in case his feet swell with existential dread.
I know the type. You've perfected the type.
Yes. Well, Arthur is that type. On the surface. But beneath it, Arthur isn't the victim, JK. He isn't the one things happen to. He's the one who makes them happen. He's the architect of the fraying thread. The quiet, meticulous. I suppose you could say a conductor. Not of an orchestra, but of circumstance. Of small, seemingly inconsequential events that ripple outward, you see. Into profound, life-altering consequence for others.
Whoa. So he's a puppet master? But with your specific brand of humility? Like a humble god?
Humble is probably the wrong word. Obsessive, maybe. Or deeply, profoundly burdened. He doesn't see himself as a god. He sees himself as a janitor, a cleaner. Life, as he perceives it, is messy, untidy. And Arthur tidies it up. He adjusts the cosmic feng shui, if you will.
So he's a vigilante? A moral arbiter?
No. Not a vigilante. Vigilantes have a code. They have a moral compass, however skewed. Arthur has an aesthetic, a sense of balance. If a particular narrative thread feels off to him, unearned, too neat, or too chaotic for no good reason, he intervenes. He doesn't punish evil, nor does he reward good. He corrects the grammar of fate. He's correcting the bad writing.
Correcting bad writing of life. That's audacious. What does that even look like, practically? Does he switch out prescription labels? Trip people with a banana peel?
Too broad. Too theatrical. Arthur's work is subtle. Micro-interventions. He might, for example, notice a young, ambitious executive, too slick, too certain of his own ascent, leaves his expensive fountain pen on a park bench. Arthur doesn't steal it. He simply moves it, a few inches, so that when the executive returns, panicked, he doesn't see it immediately. He searches, growing more frantic. And in that moment of panicked searching, a young woman, also on the bench, an aspiring writer, burdened by doubt, notices him, notices his desperation. And something shifts in her. A seed of an idea for a character. A small, almost imperceptible turn of the wheel. The pen is eventually found, but the encounter, the momentary panic, the observation, that's Arthur's work. The ripple.
So he's setting up meet-cutes? For writers?
Sometimes. Sometimes he's planting the seeds of divorce, or a career change, or a spiritual awakening. It's never about the immediate outcome, JK. It's about the butterfly effect, the unseen consequence. He's a chess player, but he's playing with human lives, and the board is the world, and he makes only one move every few months. But that move, that one solitary, perfectly placed piece, it rearranges everything.
That's a heavy burden. Does he ever feel guilt? Does he ever regret a correction?
Guilt? No, not guilt. A profound sense of responsibility, yes. A weariness. He's meticulous. Obsessive. He keeps journals, vast, leather-bound ledgers detailing every minute adjustment, every observed ripple. And he knows that he is not infallible. That sometimes, even his careful hand might introduce a new, unintended chaos. But he accepts it. It's part of the process, the cosmic ebb and flow. He's just trying to guide the tide, even if it's with a very small, very rusty spoon.
So the stakes, they're incredibly high, but entirely internal.
Precisely. The external stakes are for the people whose lives he nudges. For Arthur, the stakes are existential. Can he maintain the order? Can he keep the narrative from unraveling into absolute gibberish? It's a lonely existence. He lives modestly. He works a nondescript job, perhaps a night watchman at a sleepy museum or a librarian in a forgotten section, something that gives him ample time to observe, to study, to plan.
And what's the central conflict? His own unraveling?
The central conflict is the nature of free will versus predestination. Arthur believes, deeply, that there's a preferred narrative arc for humanity. Not a divine plan, but an optimal aesthetic. And he's trying to steer it, ever so slightly. The conflict arises when he encounters a narrative knot he can't untangle, a human story that resists his subtle adjustments. A stubborn thread.
A stubborn thread. And that's where you, as Arthur, get to really stretch? Go beyond the guy getting slapped around?
Yes, because this knot isn't a problem he can run from, or talk his way out of, or get conned into. This is a problem of pure will, his will against something equally unyielding. It tests his core philosophy. Does he admit defeat? Does he try a more aggressive intervention? Something outside his carefully established rules? Or does he simply accept the chaos?
That's profound. I can see why no one would fund it. It's not exactly a summer blockbuster.
No, it isn't. No explosions, no car chases. The most dramatic physical action might be Arthur quietly replacing a broken shoelace with one of a different color, knowing that this small aesthetic change will, in 3 weeks, lead to a missed job interview that results in a chance encounter at a coffee shop that changes everything for someone else. The tension is in the quiet observation, in the knowing, in the burden.
And you carry all that. That's a hell of a burden for an actor. To convey that entire internal world with, what? A glance? A slight adjustment of a pair of spectacles?
It's all in the subtext, JK always is. Arthur's face would be a landscape of quiet contemplation, of micro-decisions, every twitch of an eyebrow, every breath, every blink. It carries the weight of 100 butterfly effects. He's not overtly dramatic, no, but the pressure he's under, the constant vigilance, it's immense. He's practically vibrating with it. But you wouldn't see it, not unless you were looking. You'd feel it, like that suboral hum.
It's brilliant, Bill. Truly. It takes everything we know about you, everything we've come to expect, and it flips it on its head, but in a way that's so authentically you. It's a complete subversion of the anxious everyman, turning him into a terrifyingly subtle manipulator of the universe.
Terrifying. I like that. I thought it had a certain inevitability to it. The progression of a career. You spend decades perfecting the art of reacting to fate, and eventually you start to wonder, what if I could just poke it a little? See what happens.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. And it's exactly the kind of movie, the kind of art that Hollywood doesn't know what to do with. Too smart. Too quiet. No easy answers. No big marketable moments.
That's the consensus, yes. They want the spectacle. They want the villain to wear a cape, not a slightly too large tweed jacket. They want the hero to save the cat, not to subtly rearrange the cat's scratching post to alter the emotional trajectory of its owner. It's a shame. There's a quiet beauty to the mundane, don't you think? An understated power.
Absolutely. But they're not looking for beauty right now. They're looking for IP, for sequels, for something that can be explained in 30 seconds in a trailer. And yours is a 2-hour meditation on the cosmic implications of a misplaced paperclip.
A precise and accurate summation, J.K. Perhaps the world isn't quite ready for Arthur Penhaligon. Or perhaps Arthur wouldn't want the world to be ready. It would disrupt his narrative, wouldn't it? He operates best in the shadows.
To Arthur. And to the shadows.